Hello, welcome to another stream. My name is Jesse, and this is the Transformation Podcast. Thank you for listening. Today, we're going to drink a whole bottle of Tylenol just to prove this administration right, that we're going to survive. We're going to be fine. Everybody should drink more Tylenol. I hope it sells out. Natural selection, baby. I think I've seen at least 2 or 3 reports today of people that had to go to the hospital today, pregnant women, because they were drinking bottles of Tylenol. Just because you dislike somebody and what they have to say, don't try to kill yourself and make a point or make a statement just because you think you're right. You know, these people are in power for a reason, and they're in powerful positions, and there's a battle going on for sure. I don't think there's any common sense when it comes to drinking a bottle of Tylenol. Where does that thought even come from? I still remember during 2020 when Trump had mentioned hydroxychloroquine and I'm spacing on the other one, the horse dewormer, and these products were demonized. And it turns out these things were medications that were extremely cheap for the pharmaceutical companies, and they were actually extremely effective as well. But we had to make ventilators and put a bunch of people on ventilators, which did not turn out well whatsoever. The whole ventilator thing was a complete disaster. If anybody remembers that, it was right at the peak and in the beginning of COVID when I think it was Cuomo was governor at the time, and they were trapping the nursing homes with ventilators, and it was a fucking mess, man. And that guy was like the star of the show for the first 2 weeks. He had the daily press conferences. People were loving him. They're talking about being the next president. And then the giant scandal happens, and he can't even get mayor now. Kind of wild. He was actually pretty likable and pretty relatable when, following those press conferences. He and Trump actually, the first few weeks of COVID were like extremely, it felt like they had a handle on it, even though it was a very unsure time. I still remember the first couple of weeks, I was wondering myself, like, is this going to kill off half the public? It turns out it was a nothing burger, and there's conspiracies behind that for sure. All the way back to the whole Wuhan lab and the bat. We've later found out that, there's certain biolabs in North Carolina. There's hidden biolabs in Ukraine. That doesn't get talked about enough. There's actually pictures of Obama in those biolabs. It was said at the beginning of that war that was the whole point of Russia invading Ukraine. Obviously, it was for land, but there was something else, and there was a reason why America was getting so involved, because Ukraine wasn't part of NATO, and they're still not part of NATO yet. It seems all of NATO is trying to back Ukraine up at this point because they're fighting. They're basically a part of NATO, are they not? But there was a conspiracy theory for a little while. There was some different reports that had disclosed that there are, biolabs and bioweapons in Ukraine that America was storing, which would make a lot of sense because you had a lot of senators and different NGOs that were operating on the board of energy companies in Ukraine, like Burisma. Hunter Biden was on Burisma, and he was getting money from this board. And, Hunter Biden is actually a super intelligent guy. He's also a crackhead, but he's very well spoken. And when he's not on the drugs, he's actually very capable. So having said all that, he was making moves and using his dad as leverage to get these moves. And there's a reason why there's tons of American connections to a lot of these energy companies. Biden had talked about going over to Ukraine, and, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting the $1 million. Well, son of a bitch, he got the $1 million, so there's a lot to all that. But the idea of this show today was to highlight the news of the whole vaccines and Tylenol thing. This is kind of a storm on social media right now as far as controversy goes. I think we all understood when RFK was assigned to this role and the path that he was on this is where this was going as far as autism and vaccines go. And it seems like a lot of us have a very narrow-sighted memory and thought about autism and different disabilities. I can think of anybody that's double my age that walks on their toes or that has some sort of disability. And by the way, there's people out there right now. I'm seeing posts of we need to be inclusive and that we're isolating autistic people. And it's not a bad thing to be autistic. And you know how fucking stupid that sounds? You have any fucking idea how stupid that sounds? That it's not a bad thing that they're autistic? And there's nothing against them. This isn't an insult towards autistic people. This is autistic people not getting to live a life that you're getting to live. And it's this whole idea again of speaking up for somebody else. It was during the whole Black Lives Matter thing, all fucking guilty white people for the most part. And then you had your black women at the top of the chain that were, taking in the money for the cause and buying mansions with it. Right. But for the most part, it's always been guilty fucking people, guilty white people that create these causes and create these controversies. And here's another one. We're not attacking autistic children. Nobody's fucking attacking autistic children. So back the fuck off. Okay. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is preventing it in the first place so that kid gets to live a life like the rest of us do. And if my kid happened to be autistic or Down syndrome, I would love him the same as as he is right now, any one of them, right? But as a parent, I don't want that, and nobody should. And if there's a way to prevent it, then we prevent it. There's a reason why the Amish community has so much less autism. There's a reason why people that are 50 and above don't have autism. This is a new problem in our society and it needs to be addressed. And it goes as far as national security in this country. We need capable people in this country to continue to be the best country in the world, the strongest country in the world, the most advanced country in the world. We need our people that are born in this country to be healthy and strong. That's the goal. That's 100% the goal for this country, is to be healthy and strong. It should be the goal for everybody here. And our leaders in charge, that's what needs to be on the forefront, because that is a matter of national security, as well as technological advancement. We don't want to fall behind any further than we already are at this point. When you look at education charts, everybody's behind on reading levels at this point, and compared to a lot of Asian countries. COVID set a lot of people back already. On top of that, we're signing essentially 72 immunizations to these little bodies. And then, by the way, right after they take the immunization, you're then recommended to go drink some Tylenol so then the baby doesn't, get a fever. Well, you're draining the glutathione in the body. And we're going to talk a little bit about glutathione in a little bit. I actually have a few clips here on Twitter that we're going to watch together and, educate the both of us on it, because this is an incredibly important topic. And this is what I'm most passionate about. And this was 100% the reason why I was going to be voting for RFK. This is what needs to change in America, 100%. And it appears as if there's actually an effort. There's actually an effort. And that's so wonderful to see. At the very least, by the way, I'm not trying to take, if you believe in vaccines, I'm not trying to take away the vaccines from you. Just give me the choice, please. Give me the choice. Give my kids the choice. That's the deal. There needs to be a choice. There has to be a choice for vaccines. All right, let's we're gonna go over here. So we're gonna first watch President Trump's speech on the autism. So let's share our screen here. All right. Here.
Correct statement, by the way? There are some studies that suggest that, yeah, with the Amish, for example. The Amish, yeah, virtually. I heard none. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish, as an example, they have essentially no autism.
You just saw the whole world change. The president of the United States said Amish don't have autism, which is true. You just heard them say only people taking shots, the pills are sick. This is the sea change. This is real. You don't say this. This devastates the enemy. They'll probably kill Trump and Kennedy for this. But I'm telling you, everything we've done to move the needle to this point, thank you, Jesus, and all you black pill people can fuck off. Fuck you. You don't know shit. There is good in the universe, not just bad.
Since 2000, autism rates have surged by much more than 400%. Instead of attacking those who ask questions, everyone should be grateful for those who are trying to get the answers to this complex situation. And the first day all of these great doctors behind me were there, I told them, this is what we have to find out. Because when you go from 20,000 to 10,000, and then you go to 12, you know there's something artificial. They're taking something. And by the way, I think I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism.
Amish.
That have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently, is that a correct statement, by the way? There are some studies that suggest that, yeah, with the Amish, for example. The Amish, yeah, virtually. I heard none. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups, the Amish, as an example, they have essentially no autism. First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that.
Acetaminophen.
Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol during pregnancy.
Do you think Trump has ever taken aspirin in his life? He didn't know the word acetaminophen. How's that possible? I think everybody knows that word. Do they not? I understand it's a big word to spell, but it he welcomes a little bit of criticism for that one. I think it's kind of funny, to be honest. We'll keep going.
It can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly. It can be something that's very dangerous to the woman's health.
As I predicted, it's true. It's a cocktail. The shots, the Tylenol, the pesticides and the fluoride. It's already knew what was going to happen, folks. It's already know all the studies. You just saw the whole world change. The president of the United States said Amish don't have autism, which is true. You just heard them say only people taking shots, the pills are sick. This is the sea change. This is real. You don't say this. This devastates the enemy. They'll probably kill Trump and Kennedy for this. But I'm telling you, everything we've done to move the needle to this point, thank you, Jesus, and all you black pill people can fuck off. Fuck you. You don't know shit. There is good in the universe, not just bad. Continue. Excuse me.
Think about that for a second. The total, as Alex Jones had just said, the cocktail of the vaccine, Tylenol, which they recommend you take after getting a vaccine, which drains the glutathione, the pesticides, which had created, it was DDT, had created polio. It's absolutely wild that we have produced all these conditions to produce these illnesses, and it's become such a controversial topic. Absolutely crazy.
I'll say that they will maybe say at a little bit later date, but I think when you go for the shot, you do it over a 5-time period. Take it over 5 times or 4 times, but you take it in.
People bitch about this. It's over, folks. It's over. The whole thing just collapsed right
it out over a period of years.
We got your ass, bitch. All you people. Man, and this is just the beginning. The indictments are coming. They're going to fire the AG. They're going to fire Patel. You watch. You just watch and you remember, you black-pilled pussies, when I told you if you'd have been harder working, we would have won this before. But you don't believe anybody's good in the world but you that sits in your basement and plays with your fucking 1-inch dicks.
What really makes a nutraceutical work?
Jesus
What
Christ,
is a
Alex
nutraceutical?
Jones.
What is a supplement?
All right, let's back off of that for a sec. So when Trump reads these things, it is extremely brutal to watch, I will say. I feel like RFK really should have been the one making that presentation. At least he can articulate the message in an intelligent way that would maybe not make listeners or people viewing it think that it's coming completely out of left field or off the top of his head. That's what it had seemed like. It seemed like he was reading that for the first time. Now, yeah, what he was saying, spread the shots out. When you inoculate a little body, let's say 5 times in a span of, 1 day, you're overloading the system. It's the equivalent of giving a baby a shot of liquor. I mean, that's how much liquid you're injecting in their body. And this is liquid that is synthesized with different metals. Some are MMRA with different DNA, with fetus cells, pig fetus cells, all this shit, right? And you're injecting a cocktail into your kid, and on top of it, then you take the Tylenol. And then a lot of us like to spray our yards to keep our grass green. Well, there we go. Now we are inhaling the chemicals from the Roundup. And, the reason why I bring that up is because polio had initially spawned from agricultural pesticides. That's where polio had initially come from. Wasn't an actual disease within humans. It was manufactured through pesticides, through DDT. The only cases of polio now happen to be the strain from the initial vaccine. So not only did we contract it through pesticides, but on top of that, we manufactured it from here on out because of the vaccine that we created. All right, here's a RFK on none of these being studied for autism.
None of the vaccines that are administered to children during the first 6 months of life have ever been studied for autism. In fact, the Institute of Medicine said that they looked at this issue, it hasn't been debunked, and they said, no, these studies have never been done on the vaccines that are the most likely culprit, which is, DTaP, Hep B. I have the pneumococcal, the vaccines given in the first 6 months, none of them. He said the only one that has ever been studied is DTaP, which is diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. And they said that the one study that was done showed that, there was a link with autism, but we're not going to count that study because it was based on the VAERS system, which is CDC's only surveillance system. And they said that system is too unreliable. So what they were saying, the Institute of Medicine, which is part of the National Academy of Sciences, said that the only system that CDC has to study vaccine injury is so bad that any study done on it, we're not going to count.
Again, absolutely wild. None of these have ever actually been tested. And yet it's controversy. It shouldn't be controversy. It shouldn't be controversy to test these things. And because that's essentially what science is constantly questioning things and constantly testing things. Why hasn't this been tested at some level? Vaccines have been around for over 60, 70 years at this point, and we haven't tested for that? How? I have a specific situation in my life where one of my kids had gotten a few inoculations, and a few in one day, and they ended up in the hospital a week later. And when I asked the doctor about it, was complete denial without even the idea of entertaining the idea. And I understand maybe from her standpoint, it would cause an uproar if she did entertain the idea, but what else could it have been? Since then, this kid has asthma symptoms. This kid did not have asthma symptoms before it happened. And that's just luckily a minor side effect in some ways compared to what could actually happen with the whole autism thing. This is scary shit. And the fact that we don't take it serious is absolutely concerning. Let's see here. All right. This is the one I was talking about. By the way, Democrats, pay attention. This is a black woman, so she should be on your side, right?
Hey, family. So let's talk about Tylenol. I'm literally out here in the garden, but the timing is what it is. So why is Tylenol associated with autism? First, if you don't know me, my name is Dr. Christina Parks. I have a PhD in cellular and molecular biology from University of Michigan that was done in the Department of Immunology. And I have been studying the childhood schedule and injections for about 10 years hardcore now. So Tylenol is associated with autism because it depletes the body's major antioxidant, glutathione. Glutathione is what mops up inflammation in the body. And when the body is critically depleted of it, it either goes septic or, especially in young or premature infants, they can actually pass away. It can cause things like SIDS. So the maintenance of glutathione is extremely important. And even doing something like mom taking vitamin C as a supplement while she's nursing can be critical in helping mom and the baby to resupply glutathione. So what happens is if your body doesn't have enough glutathione, it gets extremely inflamed and it just can't handle cellular stress. And the inflamed state of the brain is what is highly associated with neurological disorders such as autism or ADHD. Now, that said, glutathione is extremely depleted when children get injections, when your immune system is hyperactivated. So we know this even in pregnant mothers. If their immune system is hyperactivated, it could be by an injection, or it could just be by a very severe infection, like something like appendicitis, is going to cause a lot of inflammation and deplete glutathione. So it isn't just Tylenol that is going to deplete glutathione. It is any form of acute immune activation, which is going to include all of these injections on the childhood schedule. So make no mistake, this immune activation is going to deplete glutathione. And if you combine an immune activation like a well child visit with Tylenol, it is a double whammy, completely depleting that child's glutathione supplies and really making it very likely that the body is not going to be able to fend off brain inflammation. And so we know that many injections are associated with encephalitis. So most of the time the body can, just means an inflammation of the brain. We know most of the time the body can get ahead of that and use intracellular things like glutathione to reduce inflammation. But if the body doesn't have those stores, that brain inflammation is going to rage on, and it is going to continually deplete the body's system of things like vitamin D, vitamin A, and zinc, and glutathione. And eventually the child's body just can't handle it anymore. And some children may actually pass away. Others are going to develop all kinds of problems, including things like autism. So I hope this helps you understand why Tylenol and other things, immune activation, are associated with brain inflammation, which is one of the root causes or the causal factors in developing symptoms of the spectrum. Peace. And if you want to learn more about everything on the childhood schedule and including the COVID injections, go to my page, vi-ta.org, vi-ta.org, and you can just scan the QR code, and you're going to have reputable, scientifically referenced information that you and your family can depend on. Peace.
It's an incredibly informational piece. Glutathione is basically what helps the body detoxify by removing harmful substances like free radicals, heavy metals, toxins from cells. It can also play a vital role in the immune system. Essentially what it's doing is it's detoxifying. It detoxifies your body. It contributes to the energy production. It helps repair damaged cells, potentially slowing the aging process and reducing inflammation. So glutathione is incredibly pivotal to our health. And as Bama James was saying there, when you suppress that and when you put the immune system on high alert, your glutathione drains, and that causes such things as brain inflammation. Something that you wish was taught more in school. I mean, it doesn't even seem like it gets taught to doctors in college. Let's see what else we have here. One more video here. I'm gonna move on to something else. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So here's the other deal. So Tylenol has tweeted multiple times pregnant women should not take it. And then Donald Trump says pregnant women shouldn't take it. And then pregnant women start chugging it online as a trend. And now they're going to the hospital. I would say natural selection, but unfortunately there's a fetus inside that body that just doesn't deserve that. Please fucking stop doing that shit. Just stop. It's not proving any point. It just makes you look like a fucking dumbass. Seriously. Let's see what's happening. I saw Kamala's name here on Twitter. Let's shift some gears. So the funny thing about Kamala Harris is she had just come out with this book and now she's doing this media tour and she's kind of throwing everybody under the bus, you know, like Joe Biden made her lose the election. Pete Buttigieg couldn't be the VP because he's gay. There was so many different little tidbits from the book and her media tour. It just makes it funny, honestly. Let's see if we have any good clips here of Kamala. Let's see here.
We used to compare the strength of our democracy to communist dictators. That's what we're dealing with right now, Donald Trump. And these titans of industry are not speaking up. A tyrant.
That's good shit. Let's see. There we go.
I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you know, you're the first. I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you know, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a Black woman and a South Asian woman
Is she really
elected
black?
to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay, it's hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for president of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump, who knows no floor, to be a Black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate.
Is that all it is to these people? Is race, sex, color? I know race and color are the same thing in a way, but like, my God, stop. Oh, fuck.
Gay man with the stakes being so presidential running mate, a gay man with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk. No matter how, you know, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about.
Yeah, just you know, only if it benefits you, right?
It wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
it was. I mean, you were identifying.
We had such a short period of time.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal phenomenal public servant. And I think America is and would be ready for that.
Okay.
But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, you know, and maybe I was being too cautious, you know, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was. But that's the decision I made. And I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
As much as I bitch about Trump, fuck, am I glad she didn't win. Oh my God. So instead she picked this dude right here. This piece of shit. Let me tell you a little bit about this piece of shit. This is the guy that runs my state. And boy, does he fucking suck, man. We have surpluses every year as a state, and we don't see any of that money. And then on top of that, he happened to be behind the assassination of that Democratic Congress lady. It never got talked about. He appointed the guy that shot the Congress lady last year. There's been 2 or 3 different Somalian childcare rings of money being siphoned out of the state to foreign countries. I mean, and then this guy here, let's see if I can find, this is funny. This is really enjoyable. This dude is the biggest fucking loser in the world. Tim Walz campaign, working on the car. Has anybody seen this ad? This ad is fucking classic. It's so good. Let's see here. Here it is. Check this out. This is a real tough dude.
You can always tell something about somebody's maintenance when how clean their air filter is. Look, to be able to work on this thing, you got a manual. It shows you exactly what to do to fix things on this.
I'm going to try to find I don't think this is the full one. We need to find the full one. Campaign. We'll add ad in there and see if that helps. We'll do media. Nope. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to deal with this one. That's all right. All right. Here.
You can always tell something about somebody's maintenance when how clean their air filter is. Look, to be able to work on this thing, you got a manual. It shows you exactly what to do to fix things on this. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have a manual too. It's called Project 2025, and it's a way to stick it to the middle class by giving tax cuts to the wealthiest. Look, they didn't give you a manual for this if you didn't plan on using it to fix your truck. They didn't create that Project 2025 just to have it set around as a doorstop. We know who these guys are. We know they got a playbook to rig the economy. Let's make sure it doesn't. And you can always tell, again, somebody, if they keep a clean air filter, they do good maintenance.
So look at that. That's your vice president.
All right. This thing, old school carburetor.
This dude is such a fucking loser, dude. It's fucking hilarious watching him operate. It's something else. It's something else, man. And that could have been the tandem right there. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And I couldn't imagine that administration and what that would look like right now. So having seen that ad again and watching Kamala Harris talk, I guess it could be worse. That's the only way I can really look at it right now. I mean, this dude sucks. Like, sucks so bad. What else we got? Let's see what's oh yes, I remember what I wanted to see, what I wanted to watch. Alex Jones had Nick Fuentes on today, and I wanted to watch this.
Do you remember a few months ago I called you and I said, Nick, you need to be very careful because you're moving the needle so much politically that there's a lot of different forces in their calculations that are going to come after you. And I also, who else did I say? I said, you and Charlie Kirk. You remember that conversation?
I do. I remember it well. And you said that you said this is the NFL now. You said, and this is serious. And you said they're coming for us. I mean, you basically predicted it. You don't get enough credit. You predict a lot of stuff on your show. It's off the show. It's the same deal.
But let's be clear. I was simply saying I've done this long-term, expose the overall system so people can make their own decisions. Long game, whatever. But I said, you and Charlie are the most prominent people. You got this battle, basically already took over his organization intellectually. And I said, because it's got $500 million in the bank, because the RNC is jealous of him, I didn't say specifically, remember what I said, the RNC and Kirk. And I said, you got to worry about the Democrats but I said, he's got to worry about the RNC. So it's funny when I'm just being behind the scenes. I'm always honest on air, but I don't want to say things without all my proof. Behind the scenes, I'll just really say what I'm thinking. And I'm not trying to say what you just said, but I just want people to know that there's that. And yeah. And so everybody that criticizes us, we're actually on the field, folks. Gladiators in war. People can sit there, not against them, the economy shot in your mom's basement, how you do better and all this. Just understand, we're risking our lives. And I'm not bitching or whining. I'm not a victim. Just understand, we're in the arena. We're actual gladiators here. This is not, for us, this isn't a game. This is life and death situation. And I just wanted to tell you, because gut level, looking at all of it, I said, Nick, and I never called you a drama queen, stuff like that. I just said, listen, you and Charlie Kirk, I just feel in the ether, both of you guys are at the very top of the future. They want to control that future. They're worried about your trajectory. And I didn't say what your trajectory should be. I said, I don't know. I just said, you got a lot of power. And I didn't realize how much power I had like 15, 16 years ago or 10 years ago. That's why I had the foundations and the agencies coming after me and trying to buy me off and all the rest of it. And I didn't realize my reach then. So you tend to, I know this, underestimate it. I'm just saying with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm not saying what you should do. I didn't tell you what you should do. I didn't say moderate anything. I just said, you need to understand I said, you're not just in the NFL now. You're on one of the main teams, a quarterback. So I'm just saying, you realize now the level you're at, right?
I do. Well, and obviously, based on what happened to Kirk, I think everybody realizes how serious it is. That's when it got real for everybody, for you, me, everybody in this whole thing, whatever is going on, because it's a very confusing time. And you're right. I mean, you called me up and you said like this. You said these people are gangsters, man. That's what you said. You said these people are gangsters. This is a dangerous game. You said you got a lot of power, and like you said, it is about the future. So you were 100% on the money. And it's crazy you said that almost exactly like a week before it happened. The timing was very prescient in that way. And obviously things are changing very rapidly. I said this on Twitter the other day. I said, this is the eighth front in Israel's war. But we're also in the middle of World War III. We're in this war with Ukraine. We're in this war in the Middle East, this multipolar moment. You've got the solvency crisis, the sovereign debt crisis with the United States. This is one of those world historical inflection points, like in 1917, like in 1945, like in 1989. This is like an historical inflection point. And whenever that happens, there's a lot of these forces that intervene to try to control the next phase of history. I agree. And whenever that happens,
it's a mega turning. It's all three of those dates combined. It's 45 and 19. It's all of it combined in a mega spasm right now.
I absolutely agree. I think you're right. It's maybe the biggest one yet. And whenever it's like an earthquake, it's literally tectonic plates shifting. And it's that destabilization, which is what causes the kinds of things you're seeing domestically, internationally. The whole thing is destabilizing. The whole thing is coming apart. And people are trying to hang on for dear life. I think that's one of the reasons that makes it so confusing. We're in kind of these days of lead now. Trump getting shot, CEOs getting shot, Charlie Kirk gets shot. That by itself should make people ask.
To kill you. I keep bringing that up. Don't you love how almost no one defended you when that guy came to kill you and then died in a shootout with police?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, the way they covered that up, they covered it up the day it happened. The media reported it. They said Nick Fuentes allegedly claims it's on video. He got shot in my alley by the cops.
He comes and banging on your door with a gun. I'm going to kill you in a motorcycle helmet. He dies in a shootout with the cops behind your house, and no one covered it.
No one covered it. No one said anything. And you wonder even what was going on with that, because we never even got any answers. And I'm glad you bring it up. I almost forget about it because it wasn't successful. It wasn't a successful attempt. So then for that reason, it kind of fades into the distance.
And a 9mm.
Oh my God.
And he's banging on the door saying, hey, Nick. And you're right. Nobody covered that at all.
Well, I did.
Yeah,
Hey, look
and
at that.
I
Laura Loomer
appreciated
first
that.
one
You
speak up
did.
for you,
Coming for
Nick.
me too, buddy.
Yeah. We got to look out for each other, but it should be considered part of this trend, because that is the disturbing
Laura Loomer
trend
got
line.
destroyed last
And
night.
I feel like a lot of this stuff, they sort of count on it getting memory hold. Trump got shot. Then you had another guy come to Mar-a-Lago. Someone came to my house, Luigi Mangione. You also have all these school shootings. You also have these school shootings in Wisconsin and Tennessee and the Catholic Church in Minneapolis. And all these are extremely strange. They're very online people. There was a school shooting the same day that Charlie Kirk was killed in Denver, Colorado. Some kid obsessed with school shooters, 16 years old, came to school, shot and killed 2 people.
We've
and no
had
one
2
even knows
ICE
about
facilities shot up in Texas the last month.
Exactly right. One today. And they shot all illegal immigrants. And then they pull out the bullet casing and they wrote with it with magic marker, blue pen. They said anti-ICE. Was those instructions from the FBI of what to engrave, or did the guy write it himself? Oh, this is an anti-ICE shooting. Let's mark it down in pen. This is an anti-ICE false flag. Like, so something weird is going on here. And that's kind of the feeling I just can't shake. All the lies, the fake conspiracy theories, the real conspiracy theories, the violence. I just can't shake the feeling that something really strange is happening. And I don't even know that we're even approaching understanding what it is. That's what kind of scares me.
Something big and bad is about to happen. And it's all about the old monetary system dying. It's all about all these points coming together in a crescendo right now.
While it does feel like the world is starting to really fall apart in a lot of ways, at the same time, it feels like a lot of things are starting to come together. And I don't know if that confusion is part of everything beginning to end, but they are right. Like, it feels like something bigger is about to happen. And throughout this year, the things have just kind of been piling and piling and piling. So it'll be interesting to watch. We'll continue to monitor it. One last thing I wanted to mention before I sign off for tonight. I've been working on a World War I education podcast, kind of telling the story of the end of the Ottoman Empire and how Palestine essentially was removed from that land from the Jews that had moved over fleeing in refuge in 1948. So that span of like 1917 to 1948, I really want to get that information down and share it out with the world of what that land was before it was Israel, because I believe that's going to be really important context for us coming up here. It feels like something big is going to be happening with the Middle East, and I think it's important that we are up to date with our knowledge regarding that. So other than that, thank you for listening. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, comment. Thanks for following along. I'll see you again soon.